Alright, here we go with another how-to video. This one will be really cool. I'm going to show you how I made my own DIY underspin for my swim baits. Just like that there. Alright, so what you're going to need for this. You're going to need, I used some leftover stainless steel leader wire that I use for my A-rigs. You need a pair of pliers, or a pair of cutters, some pliers, a drill. You need some epoxy, some quick set epoxy, small drill bit, a lead head or jig head without one, of course. Then you need some blades or a blade, split ring, and a barrel swivel. So let's get started. So I have spare or leftover leader wire from making rigs, so I got this little piece here. I'm gonna go ahead and work off this. Again, you don't need much for like this 3-inch or 3.5-inch swim bait. I only need probably about 2 inches worth of wire, so this little piece here is gonna be just fine. Now, if you saw my the previous videos I did with making the my own Alabama rigs, you've seen this, but those of you that haven't, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do this. So I just take a small piece of wire, I'm going to put it in a pair of needle nose pliers. Again, this right here is the closest diameter to this smallest drill bit I have, and this wire is rated at the 325 pound, so it's a number 18 on the American Fishing Wire tooth-proof stainless steel leader wire that I showed you, or that was at the very beginning of the video. So when you use a wire bending tool, this can be a little bit difficult to bend because it's very thick compared to even 140 or even 218. So again, I'll take the pliers and I'm going to take another pair and I'm going to just bend it over. I'm going to make an eye with it, so do your best to bend an eye into it. Okay, don't need those anymore. Then you're going to see how there's a space in there. You want to get this eye not as small as possible, but definitely smaller than it is. Let me straighten the camera a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and take pliers, and I'm going to just squeeze this to make that eye quite a bit smaller. A little bit smaller. Alright, there you go. You can see how small it is. This is probably about 1/8 of an inch. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get this swivel. This is probably a I think it's like a 40 pound rated swivel, 38, 40 pound. And I'll leave all the anything that, whether it's through Barlow's or Amazon, I'll leave a link in the description for all these so you can get on your own. So again, go ahead and take that small piece that you just bent over. You're going to put that swivel in there. You're going to get that swivel to fit in that eye. Sometimes it's really tight. You just open it up a little bit. Make sure it goes in there and it's freely moving. Then I'm going to move over here into my vise. Make sure that swivel moving freely. Then I'm going to take my pliers, I'm going to take this tag in, just wrap it around twice. You can do as many as you want, 3, 4, 10, doesn't matter. I only do twice. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my cutters, and you can see this little tag in right here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Okay. Okay, there you have it. Your swivel is in there. And I'm just going to take my pair of pliers and kind of smooth that piece out a little bit that we just cut, because it'll have a sharp edge on it. Okay, that's done. Okay, put all that away for now, except for the cutters. Alright, I'll leave that aside for the moment. Now we got to go ahead and get a hole put into this jig head so we can fit that wire in there. So again, go ahead into the vise. Now what you want to make sure of is in that with, here I'll take it out and show. Before you drill the hole, just make sure. Okay, so you have your eye right here, your hook right here. So I'll just use the drill bit to show an example, or show. So the top part of the hook on the shank, this 90 degree that it creates with the eye and the hook, right, comes to about right there. So you're gonna want the angle, well, you can put the angle however you want, but to get the most of this wire into the jig head as possible, you're gonna probably want to go at about a 45 degree angle from that back on this particular one. So we're gonna go in right here and go probably about a 1/4 of an inch up into that jig head, which will go up right past that 90 degree angle. So I go ahead and I put it in the vise, get my drill bit in here, get that tightened up as tight as I can get it. Okay, now again I'm gonna start right here, and then I'm gonna look down or come to the side here and see what that angle is. Then I'm gonna go right about here. I'm gonna get the hole started. Sometimes it can be a little difficult. Okay, so I get the hole started, right, by pushing straight in, and then I'm gonna drop it down while I'm still having that drill bit going, so I can get the angle. Okay, and now you drill straight in. Don't make sure that the drill bit stays straight, because if you bend it, that drill bit is going to break inside there. Don't go fast, just push as slow as you can, but making sure that there you go. Okay, you probably didn't hear what I was saying because the drill was going, but you want to make sure that as you're pushing, you keep that drill bit straight and just go slow. Don't go fast, but just go slow, and it'll just keep going in. If you go fast, you're gonna break the drill bit off inside. So now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and take this little piece cut off, and now I'm gonna take the piece that we put the swivel on. I'm gonna put it into the hole and see how deep that is. Okay, so all the way in. Now we see it's right at about a 1/4 of an inch, so I think that's good. So now we're gonna cut this shank about where we want it to be. So you're going to take into consideration that this is going to go 1/4 of an inch into this jig head. So that said, where do you want to cut it? How far do you want your underspin to be? So I want it to be probably sticking down about an inch total. So from this end in about an inch to about right there. So I'm going to add about a 1/4 of an inch, knowing that that's going to stick out. So I'm going to cut it about right there. It should be about 1.5 inches, inch and a 1/3. It's not I don't ever measure, no reason to really measure it, but let's just take a look right now since we have the tape measure out. Okay, so I'm going to measure it right at 1. So that made it right at about 1.25 inches, which is fine. So now that we cut it, remember, you can always cut long, you can always cut more if you want. Now we're gonna see what that looks like. I actually think I want to cut just a little bit more off that. We'll do about 1 1/8 inches. Okay. Take this out and look. Okay. It looks about where I want that to be for this one. Doesn't have to be long. Just keep in mind, you're going to have your swim bait, your plastic out, and if you're using a 3.5 inch, that plastic, I mean, you can see, I might actually even go shorter, but you can see where that plastic is. It's Did a little bit different jig head on this one. That one's a round one, so I was able to go in a little farther. But you could see, match it up. So with this one, actually I can probably go just a tad bit shorter. Alright, perfect. So that's where it's going to be. That's how far it's going to stick down. Perfect. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take a piece of cardboard and our epoxy. Okay. Go ahead and take this lid off. Again, this is just Gorilla Glue clear epoxy, sets in 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get, it's 1:1. So I'm just going to squeeze that out just a little bit. Don't need a lot. That's all I need. Just a little bit. Right? And then I just kind of suck that back in, pull that back out so it so it doesn't leak out. Cool. All right, put the lid back on. All right, now you can take whatever tool you want. I just use a little screwdriver, and you're going to mix this for probably a minute. Alright, that's all mixed thoroughly now. So all you're going to do is take your little piece of wire from the underspin that you're going to use, get it inside this hole that you just drilled into the jig head. Doesn't have to be a lot. I'm going to take most of that away. Then I'm going to go push it inside. Get that swivel. Alright, work it around, work that epoxy into the hole a bit. Okay, now I'm just going to take another spare piece of wire that I have, dip it into this epoxy. Again, we barely used any epoxy, you don't need to use a lot. And I'm just going to put it a little bit on the top here, make sure that hole is completely filled. Once it's completely filled, I'm actually going to take some away. Take some away now. Don't need that much. Okay. And if you feel the need to, after this is all dried, you can sand it off, sand it smooth if you feel like you need to. Okay. So that's all done. Now I'll let this sit. I'm going to let this sit. You want to make sure it's sitting straight up. Typically if I'm just doing one, I just put it in the vise and just hold it there. Okay. So there you go. That's all set. I'll come back probably in, I'll let it go maybe 8 hours or overnight. See, it's midday right now, so I'll let this go probably to the end of the day, maybe even tomorrow, and come back and finish it up. Okay, see you in a bit. All right, so it's actually been overnight, so I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the vise, and you can see here, solid as a rock. This thing is not coming out, perfectly cured, no problems there. So next step, I'm going to go ahead and take the split ring. We're going to go ahead and attach this to the little swivel. So we're going to take that. Actually, it's not down far enough. And whatever size swivel or a split ring you're comfortable with, go for it. This one's a little bigger than I'd normally use, only for the sake of the video. Usually I'd use like a size 1, which is like probably like a 9 or 10 pound strength to it. Okay, cool. So we got that on the swivel. Now let's go ahead and put the blade on. And there you have it. Your own DIY underspin. Perfect. Now we'll go ahead and slide this. This is a 3.5 inch ripper with a 4/0 hook, jig hook. So you want to match it up. So this needs to come out around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, between the 9th and 10th rib. Which, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have a little dark piece of glitter. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but a dark piece of glitter right there. So I want to pop this hook out right about in the middle, right there in front of it. So I want to make sure it's going in straight. And we're going to take that hook and pop it out right in the middle. And then slide it right on. And there you have it. Perfect. Got your DIY underspin. Super easy, super effective, but most importantly, super easy to do. Okay, now a couple things I want to note, some to-dos and not to-dos with this. So I use a lot of different types of glue, adhesive to get this to work, or test it a lot. So what I have found is super glue is a no, the tack glue is a no, regular super glue doesn't work, regular glue doesn't work, whatever. The only thing that I have found to work, actually not the only thing so far that has worked is this 5-minute set epoxy, 2-part epoxy in clear. This one by Gorilla, but you can get them anywhere, other brands. The other thing that I'm going to try that I haven't tried yet is a steel infused epoxy. So it's like a liquid epoxy, or a liquid steel epoxy that I'm going to try in there instead, that has a higher melting point and a higher higher hold. But for now, the epoxy works fine. Now, some things that are don't do's. So as you see here, just for this example, I used a bare jig head to put this on. But as you've seen in my other videos, most of mine are colored with a glitter powder paint. In this case, these are all 3. So this is a chrome blue. This is the, I think, yellow chartreuse. I don't have the name right on that one. And this is like chartreuse orange. But these are all the Nova Stone glitter powder paints. What to not do. Do not put this in here. Put the pin in there and then heat this up and dip in the powder. Because what will happen is that epoxy that's in there, this quick set epoxy, is going to melt with that heat that you're heating this up to dip into the powder paint. It's going to loosen up, or I should say melt, which again makes it loose, and it'll never reharden. So this is going to come out if you try to heat this up with this pin in there to put the colors on. So what you want to do is really, before you put the pin in, that's when you're going to dip these jig heads in. And then after you dip them and go through the curing process on that, that's when you're going to go ahead and you're going to do the same process, drill the hole into the colored jig heads. Same thing with all of these. These are all after the fact. And then you're going to epoxy or glue or secure this pin in there when you're done. Again, for just the purpose of the video, I just did a plain one. I might actually just test this as is, maybe not, just as a steel one, or I might melt this down, pull it out, color this, and then go through the process again. But yeah, there you go. That's how I do the DIY underspin. Super fast, super easy. And again, if you want to buy the wire, if you don't already have the wire, you can go. I'll leave the link to it on. You can get it at tackle shops or at Amazon. Amazon, it's I think $8 for about 30 yards, I believe, something like that. 30 yards, 30 feet, or 30 feet rather. But yeah, super fast, super easy. You can get the blades either. I'll leave the links, whether you want to buy it from Barlow's or from Amazon. I'll leave the links for those. The jig heads, the plastic software, all this will be in the description. So you can make your own DIY. Use bigger blades, smaller split rings, bigger swivels, whatever you want. Again, super easy, super cost effective. And now that I've made this, let's go see if it works. There we go. See it. You see it. You see it right there. There it is. The Holly and the underspin. Alright. Yep, there it is. Secret sauce right there. First Holly on underspin. Let's get this little dude back in the water. Probably about 16, 17 inch. Alright. Thanks for playing, little bud. Okay, again, California halibut. Not a flounder proper. Dark on one side, white on the other. Flounder proper is dark on both sides. There we go. Get this guy back in the water. There he goes. Alright, well there it is. My first fish, Holly, on underspin. Homemade underspin. You! See if we can get another one. Yeah, that's in 6-foot shore pound surf. It says can't catch fish in big waves. Not me. Ah, that's too cool. That's too cool. Underspin in the surf with the Holly as first fish. And it's so stinking easy to do this. To add the underspin. A little extra. It's like throwing a single A-rig. Get a little bit of flash. You gotta time it though. When there's waves, you gotta time it between the waves. Otherwise it doesn't, they're not gonna be paying attention to it. So all they care about is making sure they don't get slammed. So you do it between the waves. When they're trying to eat, or they're got time to eat. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's a big old perch. Big old perch. Oh, she's pregnant. She's pregnant. We're gonna have to hurry. Pregnant, gonna have to hurry. Yep, she can. All right, on the underspin. Whew. Let's get this chunky mom back out in the water before she has her babies. There she is. All right, she's pregnant. Gotta get her in the water. 13, 14. All right.